Good morning. Good evening, everybody. It's not morning. This December 11th meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Burleson Independent School District is now called to order at 5:30 p.m. This meeting was duly posted according to legal requirements, and a quorum is present. We'd like to welcome guests to the meeting. The board encourages public comment during the public comments section of the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak must fill out a card prior to the meeting. Comments are normally limited to 5 minutes and up to 5 minutes, but no less than 1 minute. Actually, do we have any cards, please? Thank you. Okay, we have 9 or 10 cards. So what I'm going to do, normally we have up to 5 minutes. I'm going to limit it to 3 so that everybody gets a chance to say what they want to say, and we'll go from there. So we also normally the public comment section is limited to no more than 30 minutes, and so we're going to have everybody get a chance to say what they want to say with those 3 minutes in place. The board may not discuss any issues that are not posted on our agenda. The board may defer agenda item discussions until the appropriate time during the meeting. The board asks that citizens not present complaints or concerns regarding individual employees or students at this time, as the district has a complaint policy that must be followed before the concern is addressed with the board. So at this time, I think we'll start our public comment section of the meeting.
3 minutes.
3 minutes total. First one we have up is Toby Ford.
I am pleased to come before you tonight. I am Toby Ford. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the board of directors of the Johnson County Central Appraisal District. Later on tonight, at the end of your agenda, you'll be casting your votes for that board and for also Tarrant County. I wanted to come tonight so you could have a face go with a name, and also thank you for your years of support of me in the past. I have been pleased to serve since 2016 on this board, and I look forward to your consideration tonight. So it may not be a full minute, but I know you have a lot of people to talk, so I'm going to go with that.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next we have John Wood.
Oh, thank you. I do really appreciate you having seen me the second time. I was here earlier. I hope I was memorable enough that I'm not just a blank, but, and I'm going to kind of read the same thing I did, but I'm going to make a different set of comments, so here they are. Hello, I'm John Wood, and I am for taxes to care for our county's infrastructure and educate in the education of our children. I'm also concerned with voters' growing discontent with the ever-increasing appraised values of their homes and their properties. Many see this as a clever way to raise taxes when actual tax rates are fixed. I'd also like to talk about a couple of other things. One, I went to a private school for the first 7 years of my education. I didn't fit. It wasn't for me. I transferred into a public school, and it was almost too late for me. I spoke to a guidance counselor as I was preparing the papers to drop out of high school. He took me to the VOTEC, Vocational Technical Center, and I immediately fell in love with their electronics department that had $10 million worth of cast-off electronics from high-tech companies. I found myself in school. I found myself in school again and again until I got a PhD. That wouldn't have happened except for the public school system and the advantages that children can have from that public school system. I am for taxes. I'm also for clarity. I'm not going to be the guy that introduces myself that you may not have ever met. And I promise you that I will let you know what's going on inside and outside of our appraisal district with every new thing that I learn. I think that America has been set up to expect government to be transparent and a partner. And I think that partnership, in some cases, has been broken. I want to be your partner. I want to be the guy on the board that tells everyone what to look out for next coming down the road and what's going on in the process that's good for them. Because informed voters are happy voters. Unfortunately, there's a lot of very unhappy voters in the state right now. What does that mean? Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Next is Craig Hundley.
Hello. This is my old hometown for about 22 years. My name's Craig Hundley. I've lived in Johnson County all my life, and 22 of those years I've spent in Burleson. And my daughter graduated here in 2000, graduated TCU in 2005, and majored in education. I have been working for the past 4.5 years to reform our broken property tax system in Austin and locally. Friends, this candidate selection process is about fairness and transparency within the Central Appraisal District process. Folks, we desperately need citizens on the Central Appraisal District Board of Directors who were not chosen by the chief appraiser or the taxing entities who represent us, the taxpayers. Just everyday, hardworking folks who look out for the property owner. The citizen candidates we recommend you to support are Dwayne Goulding and Paul Jones. Paul is out of the country tonight. Our other two members, John Woods that you just met, and Amy Lingo, and she's here tonight, have already been seated with overwhelming majorities. This has never happened in the state before. I believe that you will find these 4 individuals who have willingly volunteered to serve in this capacity to be highly qualified and able to provide excellent representation to the taxpaying citizens of Johnson County while being sensitive to the needs and requirements of the taxing entities. I would like to assure you that the members of our group are not anti-tax zealots. There's a rumor going around right now, and that is a false rumor. We fully understand and support the need to collect tax dollars to support the services that cities, counties, and ISDs provide. We simply want taxation to be fairly applied and property values fairly assessed. Our goal is to ensure transparency to the property owner and the taxpayers of Johnson County. Entities that have already supported our citizen candidates so far in Johnson County's Commissioner's Court, 100%. The cities of Alvarado, Burleson, Cleburne, Godley, Grandview, Joshua, Mansfield, Alvarado ISD, Joshua ISD, Godley ISD, Grandview ISD, and Rio Vista ISD. These are people we've already received lots of votes from. The taxpayers of Johnson County are begging for your support, and that's why we are here. Please support the people that pay your bills. Please vote for change. Please support Dwayne Goulding and Paul Jones for Johnson County CAD Board. I would also like...
Mr. Hundley?
Yes.
Your time's up. If you could wrap up in about
real
10
quick.
15 seconds.
One other person, Gary Lasada, on the Tarrant County side, he spoke to y'all recently. He's speaking to many other entities tonight, and y'all have something like 20-something votes. I would like y'all to support him for Tarrant County.
Thank you, Mr. Hundley. Next is Amy Lingo.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come before you tonight. And I was given 834 votes or something like that from Johnson County Commissioner's Court. So I hope to be serving as a member of the Board of Directors for the Johnson County Central Appraisal District. So tonight, I'm actually just here in front of you to ask for votes for Mr. Dwayne Golding. I personally know Mr. Dwayne Golding, and I understand his values, and we've talked a lot about the Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. We became interested in running for the Board of Directors around the same time earlier this year, and it comes from personal experiences with the with the Central Appraisal District, and we want to know, we want more information to be available to the public and to the taxing entities. And as we visited different meetings for the taxing entities, one of the biggest concerns that's been brought to us by board members such as yourselves is that they are not always given the agendas or the meeting times, and they would like a copy of the minutes. And my experience has been that the larger entities with the more votes do have more access to that information or have more communication with the Johnson County Appraisal District. So we want to make sure that that's available to all the entities. We believe everybody's vote is important in this. And we also would like to bring educational programs to the public so that they understand more how the Central Appraisal District operates. And Dwayne Golding, he brought this to our attention earlier this year that many citizens don't even know what their Central Appraisal District CAD card is, which is where it shows all of your improvements and the values that they assess for those improvements. Well, we don't want this to be such a mystery. So that's one of the reasons we got together to run. And we would like for you to not vote for me. Please don't cast any of your votes for Amy Lingo. Please don't cast any of your votes for John Wood. We believe we have enough that we will be serving on the board. Dwayne would need 256 votes. And we understand that you guys have 865 or so votes, something like that. So we would ask that you consider casting 256 votes for Mr. Dwayne Golding.
Thank you, Ms. Lingo.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Dwayne Goulding, excuse me.
Good evening, Superintendent, trustees. It's good to be with you. A little bit about me. I'm a native of Johnson County. My wife and I live in the southwest part of the county. We have 3 sons who live in the county with their families, and a brother and his wife live here. I'm a retired corporate executive. I've served on boards of directors. I've served as a president of 2 companies. I've served on the executive committees. I have quite a bit of experience in the corporate world. When I lived in Burleson, I served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and I served 3 terms on the Planning and Zoning Commission before I decided to go be a rancher. We all understand that taxes are necessary to meet the needs of the schools and local government. We want our kids to have a good education, and we're willing to pay for it. There's no doubt about that. Problem is, as others have alluded to, taxpayers don't understand the system. It's a mystery to them. It's a mystery to most of us. So they have little or no confidence in a system that they're paying for. Above all, taxpayers want to know that they're simply getting a fair deal. And no one that I know of knows whether they're getting a fair deal or not, because they don't understand the system. The state of Texas mandates a lot about the CAD. It does not mandate transparency, which is my real issue, nor does it mandate appraisals like some people have suggested. And the board of directors cannot set appraisals or influence appraisals. That is the sole purview of the Central Appraisal District, auditable by the State Comptroller's Office. Now, if you want to know when the CAD board meets, I'm not sure how you find out. You go out to the website, nothing's posted. You post your meetings, time, date, location, agenda, and minutes once they're approved. You don't find that on the CAD website. So I was curious. I called the Comptroller's Office, and I asked them if a CAD board is exempt from the Texas Open Meetings Act. And the answer I got was no, absolutely not. So as a board member, I will see that we comply with laws. It also mandates a taxpayer liaison officer, a TLO, to assist taxpayers with their CAD interface. Does Johnson County CAD have a TLO? Can't find it on the website. If they do, it's a well-guarded secret. We have to open up this CAD system to the taxpayers, and you guys are taxpayers, so you're taxing units too. A well-understood system is a prerequisite to a fair system. A vote for me is a vote for transparency, a vote for compliance. So let me help you and your taxpayers do the right thing, support your taxpayers as well as your Burleson ISD. I'm only asking for a couple hundred votes. That's all I need. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Goulding. Next, we have Don Beeson.
Hope you don't start my time till I get up here. I'm Don Beeson. I live at 607 Woodlawn and Keene. I've been a resident of Johnson County since 1970. I'm a retired police officer. Spent 34 years as a police officer. Then I went to the dark side and ran for county commissioner. And I was county commissioner for 8 years. And so you guys know what that's like when you run for a political office. I'm also a member of the board of directors of the Central Appraisal District. I represented the county 7 years. Of the 8, I was county commissioner. I've been on there 5 years since I've retired, and it'll be 10 years I've retired in 2 more weeks. Not that I'm counting or anything like that, but Central Appraisal District is mandated by the state law how to be operated and how to appraise taxes. And the state comptroller's office comes by every year and does an audit. They pull out files and they just randomly select homes and businesses they audit. And they give recommendations and the guidelines on how homes and businesses are to be audited. You're allowed to be 5% above or below. If that's out of compliance 2 years in a row, then the schools get knocked. And I don't know why they pick on the schools, except they have more control over the schools. And they do some state funding cuts, and I can't tell you what those are. We do have an agenda. We meet every Thursday at 4:30. The agenda is posted on the front door of the tax assessor's office, or the county Central Appraisal District office, also in the courthouse, on the courthouse bulletin board. We do not post it on internet, and it should be, but it's not, and that can be taken care of easy enough. We do have a taxpayer liaison, and that's the person that people talk to if they have a problem. They easily get his name, call and ask who he is, and he does that. I'm not asking for any votes tonight. I'm here to support Mr. Ford. He's a good member of our committee. He represents Burleson quite well. And I would like to see you put as many votes as he needs to get him elected to serve back on the board. There's nothing wrong with new blood on the board, but we all should need some experience too. If you have any votes left over after Toby gets elected, I would appreciate those. But the main thing is we need to get Toby back in on the board to represent you, to represent Burleson, to represent this part of the county. So I'll thank you very much for letting me talk. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Beeson. Next, we have Alan Anderson.
My name's Alan Anderson. I'm resident of Johnson County. I've lived in Burleson since 1979. I believe in fairness for the taxpayer. I understand taxes are necessary, not opposed to them. But fairness is. I have a friend that thought her appraisal was high. She went to protest it, and without even questioning anything, they knocked it down $100,000. That tells me that appraisals are much too high. We need citizens who will fairly appraise our properties so that we pay fair taxes. I'm here to suggest that you cast your vote for Dwayne Goulding and Paul Jones as they are citizens that would represent us well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, we have Jen Thompson.
Good evening. I've been a resident in Johnson County since 1984. I currently reside in Godley, Texas. Citizens have been fighting for years for property tax relief. Sorry, it's been a long day. We have made major headway this year with the ability to elect citizens to the CAD board. We've had overwhelming support from the majority of the ISDs and councils in Johnson County. A few of our citizens have secured seats, and we could secure one more seat with your votes. I asked for your votes tonight to go to Mr. Dwayne Golding. This would help secure his seat on the CAD board as well. By voting for Mr. Golding, you show that you stand with the taxpayers for greater transparency on the CAD board. I'm also a firm believer that those who worked hard prevail, and Mr. Hundley and his team, including Mr. Golding, have put in the time, effort, and work that deserves those votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Yeah, been a long day, hasn't it? Next is Greg Cooper.
Presiding officer, if possible, I'd like to defer to speak before the agenda item. That's an option you have for your BED local policy. Is that okay if I do that or not?
We've set aside time in this meeting, which is prior to the vote.
Okay.
So if you would please do that.
Yes,
now.
sir.
Thank
Thank you.
And thank
Appreciate
you,
your
Mr.
consideration.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
My name's Greg Cooper. I'm a resident of Johnson County. I'm a transplanted Texan. I wasn't born and raised here. I'm a veteran. I have 8 combat deployments and close to 40 months in combat, and I'm 100% disabled. I don't pay a cent of property taxes, not 1 cent. I go, since 2015, I've lived in the state of Washington, Oklahoma, Midlothian, Texas, 2 places in Colorado, Godley and Joshua, Texas. And there's something about Texas where the property taxes are so confusing that it's overwhelmingly difficult to wrap your head around it. The current incumbents facilitate a very confusing process with lack of transparency. If you've never ever seen and met and spoke to Mr. Beeson and Mr. Ford, who are here tonight before, that's a problem. That's a very big problem. Burleson ISD, you guys represent everybody in your footprint, every single person. Very, very rarely do you have an opportunity to vote for every single person here. The overwhelming majority of your time is spent voting for the ISD, the students and parents of, and that's a great thing. But this is a unique opportunity for you guys to really reach out and touch every single constituent in your footprint. This is really the easiest vote you can make. It affects absolutely nothing about your day-to-day operations of the ISD, but the taxpayers are coming to you guys and begging you guys to help these individuals, Mr. Golding and Mr. Jones, who have committed themselves to doing community outreach, being transparent, and bringing the process of understanding to the constituency, to the voters. And that's a great thing. Any form of transparency is great. People all the time thank me for my service, and while that's an awesome gesture and I sincerely appreciate it, what really means a lot to individuals like myself that have served is when the citizens of this great nation, they really live their lives in a manner which preserves and takes advantage of the freedoms that we've put ourselves out there for you guys to take advantage of. And I sincerely encourage you to listen to what your constituency and the majority of Johnson County residents are saying, and this is really, really an easy no-brainer vote. And I sincerely hope that you will consider Mr. Goulding and Mr. Jones for your votes tonight, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Next is Matthew Lucci.
All right, good evening. Thank you very much to everyone here at the Burleson ISD Board for the great work that y'all do and the opportunity that Greg Cooper was just talking to you about. to make a decision that will impact folks all across the county. My name is Matthew Lucci. I grew up in Johnson County, lived here for over 20 years. And I will echo a question to y'all that I know y'all are not allowed to answer. But what was your home value when you bought it? What is it today? What is your taxable value today? Why are those things different? Those are the questions that I get all the time from my parents who still live here in Johnson County, from friends and family members all across the county. They don't know why their taxable value is different than their appraised value. They don't know how that number materialized out of thin air. And they're told all the time, well, just go contest it. Okay, well, how do we know what that process is? Unless we have members on the CAD board who are open and transparent and honest about what's going on. And really, that's all that we as citizens of Johnson County are asking for, is that you elect folks to the CAD board who are open and honest and transparent and are willing to put the information out there so that voters, so that taxpayers can be well informed. And so this evening, in the very short amount of time that I have, I would like to thoroughly encourage you to vote for Mr. Dwayne Golding and Mr. Paul Jones, who are the individuals who all over this county have been advocating for greater transparency in the CAD board, so that someone could easily go online and say, this is the process for how my appraisal was determined. This is the process for me to go contest that if I disagree, and to ensure that every single appraisal in this county is done fairly. Thank you very much for your consideration and for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Lucci. Well, guys, we did it. We stayed under 30 minutes. Great job. Well done, everyone. All right, everyone go home. Just kidding. Okay. Seriously, thank you guys for coming and speaking to us. It was great to hear you guys. The Board of Trustees of the Burleson Independent School District will adjourn into closed session at 5:57 p.m. for the purpose of consideration of matters for which closed session are authorized by Title V, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code 7184. Whereupon the superintendent, at the request of the president of the Board of Trustees, will present to the board's consideration or discussion the following matters. Consider teacher, administrator, employment, or other appropriate personnel matters. Deliberate a negotiated contract for a prospective gift or donation. Deliberate the use of security personnel devices or audits, including an intruder detection audit. Deliberate a matter regarding a student or student discipline. Deliberation regarding real property. Consultation versus attorney and Hedrick v. BISD. This time we're in closed session. The Board of Trustees of Burleson Independent School District will reconvene open session at 6:47 p.m. We have several parents waiting on bedtimes, so we're going to move. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I know I wait on bedtimes. So we're going to move the kids up and move action of closed session to the end of the agenda, so we can get those kids here and do what we need to do with them, and then they can get home and bed and showered, and no playing around either. Get in bed on time.
Let's do the pledge first.
Oh, we got to do the pledge first. Excuse me.
Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Okay, no problem. Okay, before we do special recognition, one more thing. We need to adopt the agenda. Recommend that the Board of Trustees adopt the order of items for the December 11th, 2023 agenda as presented. Sean?
Second.
Second, Pat. All in favor, please raise your hand. I see none opposed. Motion passes. Now we're ready for special recognition. Dr. Hill.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have our SSEP students that are here that are excited, worked hard at our event that we had, and I'm going to turn it over to Stacy Hughes to share.
Well, Dr. Jimerson and the board, it's my pleasure to be here to present these kids to you. This is officially the 10th year of BISD space program. So I want to congratulate you all. I remember Miss Simons sent me an email while I was at NASA on a field trip with some kids and saying, are you interested in this thing that the district's doing? And I was like, yes. And then she put me in touch with Dr. Bender-Jutzi, and we started corresponding. She was answering all of my questions. And finally she said, do you want to help me with this? And so that's why I'm here. It's been an adventure, and every year there's something new and exciting that we have to tackle. And right now, Mission 17 is on the space station. The experiment, I think tomorrow, is supposed to have its final interaction with an astronaut. Then the whole experiment will come down within a week, and the kids will be looking at it and comparing with their ground truth experiment, and we'll have our mission patches back, and everything will tie it up in a little bow, and Mission 17 will be done.
There's a lot of folks that aren't normally here or may not know what we're talking about.
Okay.
About our program. Just so we know, this is the 9th year in a row?
10th. This will be our 10th.
Folks, if you don't know, our students compete, and they develop their own, and forgive me, I'm taking over, but
No, go ahead.
I'm so hopeful with what y'all have done. Our kids create experiments. They work in teams, and all of our kids, LOPSD, what grades are we doing right now?
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
Mhm.
And they create experiments, and then they compete. They have judges and students, so it's through NASA.
And
every year we participated, and we're working on year 10. A BISD project has been selected by NASA.
By the Student Spaceflight Experiments Program,
I knew that.
in conjunction with NASA.
But it's NASA that sends it up.
I don't know. Now it could be Elon
Don't
Musk.
know
I
who
mean,
anymore, really.
It's flown up, and this one launched a few weeks ago while
Yes.
we were there. Our last
November 9th.
Our kids
Yes.
on Space Night got to watch live the rocket carrying their experiment go to the International Space Station, and it is being done. What is the right word? Conducted?
Yes.
I'm not a scientist.
It's conducted by an astronaut, and
By an astronaut, see what works, is sent back here,
Mhm.
and then our kids get it back, and they get to assess the results on top of it. It's
Mhm.
really cool, and it's really cool that BISD kids, for 10 years in a row, have been sending their projects, at least one,
Yes.
to the International Space Station.
We have sent concrete. Thank you. We've sent concrete. We've sent all kinds of molds. We've sent worms, a couple of types of worms. It's just been fascinating, and I learn a lot every year. The kids, just staying ahead of the kids' questions are part of the challenge, because they ask such good questions, and we don't have to know the answers yet. That's the purpose of it, is we're trying to find out what the answers are. So,
We partnered a lot with TCU. I heard somebody say TCU earlier.
yes.
Matter of fact, they come back and then we go, and our kids, a lot of times we go to TCU and work with their scientists to go back over what the results were.
There are a few.
In a microgravity environment.
Yes. We are testing gravity's role on different systems on Earth. And so the only way to do that is to see what it's like without gravity. So that's why they send it to space. So
Please continue.
I could talk about it a long time.
Smart kids.
Yes, it takes a lot too. It's not easy to design an experiment. So these kids have put in a lot of research and a lot of hard work, and it's just that what science is all about, and they're getting it in 6th grade, and it's what sets them up for a really good, rigorous scientific program for all the way through high school. They know what good science is, and they get to keep on going with it. So, and by the way, TCU, we have had at least one of our students has a full ride scholarship to TCU because of their interactions with TCU in this program. So, yeah, it's cool. So, okay, this is Mission 18, and we have broken a streak this year, Miss and Dr. Hensley. We finally broken a streak. The last 3 years sent an experiment to the International Space Station, and this year it looks like it's going to be STEAM. You can say yay. So the teacher facilitator with this group, I'm going to let her come up, and she has all 3 teams. So it was all 3 of her teams were the finalists. We don't know the flight experiment yet. SSEP is still working on deciding that, and so these are our 3 finalists that our district selected to send to DC to be selected for a flight experiment. So Alicia Youngs is the teacher from STEAM, and these are all her students. And the first team there.
So the first team is Cade Sando. And Mac McGinnis.
And this is their experiment, if you want to say it.
And their experiment is raspberry seeds in microgravity.
Okay, are they here?
Yeah.
Yes. Come on up, gentlemen. Matt.
Congratulations. Congratulations. We want to go each individual team? All right. Scooch. She always tells me to scooch, so I have to swear.
All right, ready right here. 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations. Oh, and parents? No, we're good? No, hold on. All right, come on.
1, 2, 3.
Wonderful. And thank y'all for being here. Congratulations.
Okay, our next group is the effects of streptomyces hygroscopius in microgravity.
I made her say it.
And
Made her say it.
Really?
yes.
And wait a minute, did you have a pronunciation out beside it, or did you just know how to say it?
No, I just knew how to say it.
That's it.
And they do too. They can actually tell you more about it if you're interested.
I'm just teasing.
And the investigators for this are Austin Wise, Christopher Green, Orion Garcia, and Reagan Weber.
You're doing great.
All right.
All right, ready? Look here. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, and thank y'all for being here. Do we want any parents in here or no?
Where are the parents?
These stand up.
Do you want to go?
I see somebody's being a little shy.
Oh my gosh.
Really? You just made them stand up.
I was trying to just wave. Need to be a moment in time.
We are not sending any kids to the moon. Let the record show. We're not sending.
1, 2, 3.
That question, you want one time the kids have they actually gone to the space
More
station?
time. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
And our final team, Cladosporium cephalosporum strain. That one does. Strain TC09's growth with sugar water. And the and principal investigators are Faye Adesola, Azriel Kelly, Noah Medina, Justice Samani, and Fisher Wilkins.
Okay.
Okay. Sit behind.
I'm sorry.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You did great. Okay, so we have 2 more awards to give because in conjunction with designing an experiment for the space station, we also designed Mission Patch. It makes it a true STEAM program. The Mission Patch usually has a theme that goes with it. This year is 10 years in space. And these are our secondary patch winners. Nikki Doan and Misty Gifford is the teacher. And then the elementary patch design is Declan Zahner at the Academy of Leadership and Technology at Mound. I forgot to say Kerr Middle School for Misty. And the teacher is Renee Lermo. And I would like to call is Renee Lermo? Lermo. I'm sorry, did I say it wrong? Come up. Yeah, Zahner. So I'd like for you to give them this. It's more special. Declan Zahner. Do we want them both or both of them up? Okay, and then Misty Gifford.
Thank you very much.
And Nikki Doan.
Oh, look at it like Come on, Mom. Oh, no, seriously. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
So these patches will be made into actual patches. The paper patches are the ones that fly with our experiment onto the space station, and then they come back embossed have officially flown on the space station, and then we have real patches made, and you all will be getting some, and all of the participants here. So thank you for everything that you've done with this program. It's been one of the highlights of my career, so I love it, and I'm so thankful that you all decided to go this route with our students. So
oh, thank you, and I'm excited. Look, you notice we've got all these young men that had the science experiments, and then with the patches, we've got the young women. I was worried about us, ladies, so I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. Okay.
Hey, we've had plenty of years where
I know.
plenty of ladies.
I know. So good job.
We'll be
Awesome.
here.
Just exciting to see y'all. And parents, thank you for sending us good students that we can work with and encourage and send off to space. That's so exciting.
Not
Thank you.
literally.
If you'd like to make your way back up to your seat. Okay, no dilly-dallying at bedtime.
Wait, we're about to do financials.
But the CFO is going to present the financials.
Thank you.
Congratulations for having great. That was your grandson, right? Or you had good kids and good kids. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
We'll leave. Hey, as soon as Miss Peggy
whenever
exits the
she gets ready.
building, we'll start the next part of the
So,
meeting.
just-
Bye, Ms. Barnes.
Sorry, I can't stay.
Oh, man. What a gem. Okay, now it's time for comments from individual board members. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share this evening? Surprise, surprise. Go on.
Well, I just want to just think about today we had retired teachers luncheon, our annual luncheon. And Jerry and I got to really be so proud because the Centennial choir came to perform for us, and then a quintet of musicians, the wind students. And it's just, we have got some talented students in our district. And it's just so exciting to see them perform. And it's such an affirmation to those of us that are retired educators to get to see how our students continue to bloom and to do well. So it was quite an exciting time.
I'll just make one comment with regard to that too. Those students were fabulous, and when you've got a room full of retired teachers, you don't know how much it means to all of us to have students around again, and they were great. The only correction I would make with Ms. Pat is that was a brass quintet, so in case any of you are listening, it was brass, and I'm sure she meant to say that.
You almost stepped in it, Miss Pat, I'll tell you. That's, hey, process of elimination, I guess. Anybody else? Okay, next we have our first information item. We have a safety and security and intruder detection audit with Mr. Steve Logan.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I've got a couple safety and security updates to share with you all. The first one is on our TEA intruder detection audits. Since our last board meeting, we've had 2 campuses audited. Those were Branson and GDDS. And once again, they both passed and had no findings. So I'd like to thank our campus administrators and staff and students for continuing to follow our safety protocols and make sure that we're doing the things we need to do to keep our schools safe. My second update for the night is on our safety bollard installation project. I'm sure if you've been out to any of the campuses, you've seen the bollards out there. That was originally a suggestion by our lead SSO, Mr. Kurt Brannon. He felt very strongly that that's something we could do to improve the safety of our campuses. And so we consulted with BPD and our Safety and Security Committee, and we moved forward with that project. And as of last Monday, all the bollards are installed throughout the district. We've got a couple of places where we need some steel pipe fencing installed, but all the bollards are in place, and that project is complete. And that's just another layer we've put in place to add another layer of protection for physical security for our campuses. We've got some other big projects in the works, and hopefully next board meeting, those will be in a good spot to where I can come and give you an update on those. But for tonight, that's my update.
Steve, I went to BHS to the cosmetology and went in through the back door to get my hair cut. But anyway, and I noticed even the back doors, and that's just where there's just one entrance, they were there. So that's great.
Yeah, Scott did a great job of working with the installers and with local first responders and determining the most strategic locations to put those where there could be a potential vulnerability, and we made sure to get all those areas covered and protected.
You know, it's funny because I call myself pretty astute on things, but it's funny because as I was driving around different facilities and different campuses, I noticed that there would be a bollard somewhere, and I said, you know what, I wouldn't have thought of that one. And quite the extensive assessment, obviously. And so good work, and it was quick. I mean, that was a lot of bollards. 155 over what, 18 camp, thereabout?
Yes.
It's a lot. And so anyway, well done. And I know Mr. Brandon is very happy as well. So
Absolutely. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Steve. Next up, we have consider the update 121 in policy GKG local with Mr. Tom Dyer.
Good evening. And now for the high water mark of every board meeting, the minor policy revision update review. Actually, there isn't a whole lot going on. I say that every time because there's almost not a whole lot much going on in these policy revisions. The first one, and some of these are also their catch-up. They're catch-up because the policy finally gets amended to catch up with the law, but as soon as the law is passed, we start doing it. So it's not news to us, it's just the policy gets caught up. CKE, School Safety and Security Officers must complete required training, they already have. CLB, this is an interesting one, driven by the law. The Integrated Pest Management System now must include a residential building. This is designed for schools that have students on site. We don't. So your policy is going to get updated because the law said you have to, but it actually doesn't apply to us. The next one is raise the meal grace period at the secondary level from 590 to 15 to allow kids to catch up their meal cards. And CRF, no language changes at all. They just changed the template, and that template will be updated, and so it'll look like you adopted it with that new date. CVA and CVB have the exact same revision. The superintendent or designee does not need to be spread throughout policies because you have adopted one policy that says if you've given the superintendent a duty, you also give him the responsibility to delegate it. So you don't have to repeat that over and over and over. So it's just being deleted from those two. All right, there you go. DEA, clarity on payment and leave. Semi-monthly is more accurate than bi-monthly, so just cleaning that up a little bit. Clarifying regular rate of pay during emergency closures if employees are called to work. FD, ensure appropriate credit instead of transfer credit for homeless students who are transferring in. So the way it was written before, transfer, if they transfer in and they're homeless, then we were supposed to make sure that their credits transferred with them. But we're recommending that we broaden that language a little bit to make sure that the credits are appropriate, not just what they transfer with. FFI, this one just references a new standard that was adopted by TEA to prevent bullying, and that is it. We'll come back next month and ask you to adopt. Any questions?
thank you, Mr. Dyer, and for reviewing everything we're already doing, and now we can make sure our policy is reflecting that as well. So.
Good deal. Board members should have received a consent agenda in your packets. So I need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as presented. Jerry? Second from Dallas. All those in favor, please raise your hand. See none opposed, motion passes. Okay, we're going to move into a public hearing. Next, we will open the public hearing for the school first rating at 7:12 p.m. Ms. Mice.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Jimerson, board members. I am here. All school districts in the state of Texas are required to report their first rating in a public hearing. And so we do that. Last month we did the audit and now we do the first rating. It stands for the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. It is administered by TEA. And what they want to do is measure our financial performance. And that's because of the complexity of the school finance system. I think this is a way for them to make sure that we're following the rules. And then also to achieve quality performance in the management of our school district's financial resources. So not only do we want to make sure we're teaching kids and doing it well, we want to make sure we're doing it efficiently. The basis of the rating, it's for our 2021-2022 school year. They use the PEAMS fall data for the staff and student and also for the budgetary financial data. And then we actually, when we turn in our audit for the 22 school year, they use that information also when they assess our score. Scores? I can keep going.
Can you sing a song or
I can sing.
do a magic trick?
Well, what? No, I don't have any magic, but I could maybe try to sing. Hopefully, this will just work, and that would be better. I'll keep going. What happens is we're graded by superior, substandard, or if we need help, we got a superior rating. So Burleson ISD scored a 92 out of 100. So we're proud about that. When we break it down,
Let's see if we can actually see that.
right here. Thank you. So superior achievement is from 90 to 100, above standard, meet standard, and then substandard achievement. So as I mentioned, we received a 92. They have 20 indicators that they use when they grade us. And so 3 are yes/no indicators, 5 are ceiling indicators, and then 12 of them are actually scoring indicators. And that's how we got the score of the 92. I'm going to go through these briefly. The first one is, did we file the audit on time? And we did. Was it an unmodified opinion? So we had a clean audit, and so they look at that, and so our answer is yes. And then were we in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? And we were. So we met all those 3. For a ceiling indicator, did we make timely payments to TRS, TWC, and the IRS? Yes, we did. Was the total unrestricted net position balance in the government activities in the statement of net position greater than 0? This is one of those that they had as a non-scoring indicator. With COVID coming through, a lot of these are like a 5-year trend, and so there's some that they felt that weren't necessarily fair to be scored, and so this was just a non-scoring indicator. So 5 did not have any points assigned to it. 6 was the average change in fund balances over 3 years less than a 25 decrease, or did we have a fund balance that exceeded 75 days of operational expenditures? And we did do that. And we know that when we budget, we plan for that. So we're also scored on that. Was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund sufficient to cover operating expenditures? We received all 10 points. Number 8 was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt. We received 8 out of the 10 points. So 3 gives you 10 points. We got a 2.86, which is a 2.9 in my book. And so we missed that one. So we were down to 8 points. And then number 9 is, did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed our expenditures? And it was. So we got 10 points for that. Did the school district average less than 10% variance when comparing budgeted revenues to actual revenues for the last 3 fiscal years? That was a non-scoring indicator, but we did receive the 10 points. 11 was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency. And then the other part of this is if we have an increase of students in membership over the 5 years of more than 7%, we pass that indicator automatically. We no longer at 7%. We were at one time, we're at 4.3%. So we only got 6 out of the 10 points on this one. And that the trend may come back up, and that's what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. And then was the correlation between future debt requirements and the district's assessed property value, what was that correlation? We got 8 out of the 10 points. So using the property value as part of that equation. Was our district administrative cost ratio equal or less to the threshold? And we were. So we were at 6.4% and the threshold's at 8.5. So we're proud of that because we always stay underneath that threshold. Did we not have a 15% decline in students to staff ratio over 3 years? We did receive the 10 points, but you'll see that's a non-scoring indicator, and I think that's the same thing with the COVID. They kind of looked at the way the enrollment has been the last 3 years and the changes that have been made, so they made it a non-scoring indicator. Number 15 was the school district's ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projections. So we submit our projections, and we did meet that, so we have all 5 points. It was a non-scoring indicator, but we got our points for that. And then did we use our PEMS information? And when we sent it in compared to the audit, we're within 3% of all expenditures by function. We were. Did the external auditor report that it was free of any instances of material weaknesses and internal control? Yes. And then also did the audit show that we did not have any material non-compliance for our grants and federal funds? And we passed that with 10 points. And then the last 2 was, did we post all the required information that is required to us by the government code, local government code, Texas Education Code? We do have that posted on our website. We receive all 5 points. And then the last one is, did the school board members discuss the property values at a board meeting within 120 days before we adopt the budget? And we did do that. So that kind of wraps it up. I know I was quick, but there's 20 indicators. It takes all year long to make sure we pass those indicators. But I wanted to quickly let you know that we did receive a 92 on that. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that's 12 or 11 slides that we went through that it took a lot of time and effort.
I didn't
to
put any
get that.
numbers out there to save y'all a little bit.
No,
I
I-
just thought I'd just give you.
We really appreciate the hard work that you do year round to make sure that we can have a summary of that. So thank you so much, Brenda.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions or any comments from members of the audience? Okay, we'll close the public hearing for the school first reading at 7:18 p.m. Ms. Mize, I think you're up again. It's time for the monthly
Yes.
financials.
Okay, so our regular financials, starting with October. Here we go, general fund. If you'll look, our revenues are up about 4.3 million from last year at 27 million. And our expenditures are also up about 1.9 million at 30.5 through October. Food service compared to last year, our revenues are at 2.104. We're about 70,000 less than we were last year, and that is in our federal program revenues. And then our expenditures are up about 338,000 at 1.7 million. For debt service, revenues, we've collected 641,000 just in local at this time, and then our expenditures are at 15.6, and that's our debt payment that we make on August 1st. For special revenue funds, if you see, we've expended 37.6%. We have the ones listed for 2023 through 2024. They roll forward, and so we're able to expend those throughout the year. You'll see on here our ESSER funds and our title and our IDIB formula forms on here. For childcare, revenues are up to 193,000 through October, and our expenditures are at 192,000. For capital projects, which is our oil and gas, our beginning balance is 13.6 million. The additions we have are 292,000. That's interest and our minerals. And then we have our small expenditure of $3,700. So our balance as of October 31st is 13.9 million. For payments over 10,000, the list is in your packet. If you'll see up here, the majority are out of our general fund, 199. Utilities, things like that, office and classroom supplies. And then we also have our special revenue funds, and then our capital and our workers' comp. And our tax report. So October collections in M&O were 531,000. We start getting our current year levy starting in October. And then INS is 336 for a total of 867,000. Year to date, we're at 1.1 million. And then our capital update. So Norwood, we're at the end where we're paying the retainage as we are in that building. And then Mound, we're still in the beginning stages. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions?
We're getting close. Closer. But we are moving forward. We are moving forward on the Mound project. As you know, we had a couple of little design modifications that needed to be made, but I think those are being made. And hopefully by the spring, we'll be getting something going, right? Things are moving and we're almost there. I know it's taking a little longer to get off the ground than we first thought, but we're getting closer and closer, and now we're about to really break ground on that thing. So.
Absolutely. Okay, if you want to move right along into action items,
Yeah,
please.
I have one action item this evening. It's the review of our investment policy and strategies. We are not making any changes to what's in policy as of now. If we see a change that we feel like that we need to make another change to our investment strategy, as if the pools come to a place where it becomes stagnant, then I'll come back to you. But it is required annually to do so, so I wanted to bring our current investment policy to the board for approval.
Great, thank you so much. I need a motion that the Board of Trustees affirm the investment strategies as listed in policy CDA local to approve the attached resolution.
So moved.
Ms. Pat? Michael, second. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? I see none opposed. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Okay. Let's see. Brings us to the next item, the action items on our list. We need to consider a ballot for Tarrant County and Johnson County Appraisal District's Board of Directors with Ms. Brenda Mize.
So, as we have seen, we received our ballots for the Johnson County and Tarrant County Appraisal District. Burleson ISD does have votes for both of those counties. I believe it's 843 for Johnson County and then 29 for Tarrant County. And so, in your packet, you presented with the list of candidates, and we are asking for your vote this evening.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
With that information, I need a motion.
I make a motion that we allot 725 of our votes to Toby Ford and 118 of our votes to Wayne Gordon. For a total of 844.
Okay, 725 for Toby Ford and 118 for Dwayne Goulden. Do I have a second? Sean? All in favor? All in favor, everybody voted yes, motion passes. Now we need to consider the votes for Tarrant County, please.
Yes. So once again, the names listed are in your packet. I believe there's 7 candidates. And if you would ask that you would disperse your 29 votes, then we can send that resolution for approval.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that we allocate all of the 29 votes to Gary Lozada.
all of our Tarrant County votes to Gary Lozada. Do I have a second? Ms. Pat? Michael made the first, Ms. Pat second. All in favor? Okay, motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we need to go back and consider action from closed session. Let's see. Let's do teacher contracts first. I recommend that the Board of Trustees ratify and approve the contract recommendations brought forth by administration for the 2023-2024 school year, pending all legal requirements are met. Do I have a motion? Sean? Dallas? All in favor, please raise your hand. I see none opposed. Motion passes. Second motion here is I recommend that the Board of Trustees grant the board president the authority to approve all new hires between now and the next regular meeting in January. The board will consider ratifying those hires at the next meeting. Do I have a motion? Dallas, and Jerry. You had your day in the sun. Dallas and Jerry, all in favor? Okay, motion passes. And I think we have one more. Get my papers right here. I move that the board approve the agreement in Hedrick versus BISD according to the terms discussed in executive session, and authorize the board president to approve any necessary changes to any non-pecuniary terms in the agreement. I need a motion. Dallas? Michael? Second. All in favor? I see none opposed. Motion passes. And with that, I believe we can call this meeting adjourned at 7:27 p.m.